Hello, here's Chris with a new procedural shader tree for Blender. This shader tree can be downloaded on my Gumroad shop on gumroad.com/taros, or you go on my website www.christoph-werner.de. I will post the links here below, and you can see and you can visit the website to download this material. So what you can do is with this material. First, this eye here is completely free of textures. You don't have any textures on it, and you don't need any UV information. So you don't need UV coordinates to create this eye. Here on the left, you see this is a shader tree for this object here. I can turn it around and you see here is the object. I have prepared some more examples. My package will include some eyes, and you can use this eyes as a starting point for your own results for your own projects. So I will show you some examples, and later we go to the settings that can be changed in my procedural material in the first version. So let's see what we have. Here, this one is the ocean example. I show you now the Earth example. It's a brown eye here. And as I said, all of this here is procedural. The veins are a procedural, and the pupil and the iris, all you see here is has no texture information. Then we have another example here, monster, for example. A friend of mine, Daniel Lieske, has made a monster example, a very nice, cool green eye. And then you have, you can make zombies, for example. Here is an example I've made with my procedural shader to make zombies or zombies in American, I don't know. I come from Germany, so forgive my English. And the latest one is alien material. So you can see you can make very weird, cool materials here. And this one is it's like an alien. Whatever you want, you can do it here. I go back to the ocean material here, this one. You will get all the settings together with the package. So I go back to the ocean material and show you what we can change. So you can see here are the options. First, what you can do here is you can set the eye reflection intensity for the eye. So at the moment it's on 1, and when I turn it down, you don't see any reflection. Here you see it. You can use a bit more and it come more reflection here, and you can use it up to 1. And you can see here some reflection effects. If you don't like the reflection like this, or you think it have to be more, you can change it with the second option. It's here, the eye reflection Fresnel option. So at the moment, I'm working with index of refraction. So what does it mean? The reflection gets more on the sides and will be less here in the center. So when I set it, for example, to 1, we will see no reflection, and we will set it to 1.35. This is the reflection or the index of refraction for water. It reflects like water. And the higher this amount, for example 2, the more the object begin to reflect. So you can set it, of course, to 4, and it reflects a lot. Okay, I have set this value to 151. It's for glass, so you can use it for your own. You can use your own values if you like. And the next option is here a color. It's a pupil color. It's here the color in the center. So you can click on it and you can change the color, and it changes directly. So you can choose your own colors here, for example. And I set it back to black. So you cannot only choose the color, you can choose the size here, the pupil size. So if you like, you can set the slider down and it begin to be small, or you can set it up and so on. So don't be worried, this pupil is still here, but you can set the pupil sharpness. This is the second option. And the more you set, the more sharp is the border of your pupil. So you can set it down, for example, with a very small value. Let's say 1.1. No, it's not enough. I say 1.2. or 5. Okie dokie, 7. So we can see that it's very small. I can see it already. 8, no, 8, 5. No. Okay, this is the, so you can change these values to get the size, the pupil size. So it depends a bit of the object, and this one here, you need this value to have it in this size. So I can make it a bit higher, and if I like, I can change the sharpness of my pupil to have it very smoothie if I like. So I can make a lot of different effects with it. Okay. The next two options are the main colors for the iris. There's the color 1 and color 2. So this is the blue one here. When I change it, for example, to green, it became green. And then you see this blue lines here. And this is the second color. The second color can be changed, for example, to pink or whatever you want. Let's say yellow. And you have now yellow colors for this lines here. And the green one is here, the background. And then the next one is the iris size. So this is the main size of the iris. You can change it and make it very big if you want, or very small. It depends on you what you're doing. So as soon as you make the iris smaller, the pupil will get smaller too. So the iris size sets all the whole circle here. The next one is the sharpness, so you can make it very smoothie if you like. Here we see it. I make the rendering a bit faster. So here. So here we see we can set the sharpness of our iris if we want. So then we can set the iris shape bump. What does it mean? Let's rotate here. And you can see the ball is actually a sphere, but you see here this effect. Here is a small bump here, and the bumpness says how the light is stepping here over this element, yeah, over the iris. And you can see when I set the bumpness down, so the light effect became normal. Now it's a normal sphere, and I can move it around, and there's no bump. So you can change the shape bump here, and the setting will be used then. So, okay, the next. Here, now we come to the interesting things here. It's iris pattern 1 size. This is the iris pattern 1. These are some options here. The first pattern is this one here, the lines here. So I can change them, and you see the lines became very thin because the line amount grows. So for example, if I make only 10, I have only a few lines here, a few of this effect here in the iris. The next one is for the pattern 1, the contrast. You can set the contrast very high, and you see very contrastful lines here. And you can set them down, and it became smoothie. This is this value. Then the next one, the third of the pattern 1, is a distortion. When I set the distortion off, you see the lines are nearly straight. And then when I make it up, they became very stormy or like waves. You can choose your own distortion if you like. Depends on you what you want. Okay, I set it here now to 20. Okay. The next one is the pattern 2. I have two patterns in my eye. There is a pattern for the lines. Maybe I set the distortion to 0.5 so we can see it better. These straight lines are the first pattern, and the inner pattern here, you see some circles. You can see them maybe. This is a pattern 2. So here I can set the size for the second pattern. I hope you can see it in the video. You can set the size and make them bigger or smaller. It's very interesting for the inner circle of the eye. And the next one is the contrast. Of course, you can set the contrast here for these elements too. Now it became more contrast or less. The next one is here the mask size. So what does it mean? I have a mask which describes the border or the center of the the pattern here and the pattern there. So the mask size, if you change it, grows, and you see, I can see now more of this pattern. To see it more, you can set the sharpness a bit higher, and now you can change the mask, and you see the center pattern gets more, can be seen more. So you can see it here. So the mask is here, this line, and the sharpness is the sharpness of the line, and you can choose with these two values. You can see more of this pattern or more of this pattern. Good. I put it down and make it a bit smaller. Okie dokie. So next, the next is the iris center color. There are two colors. The center color is the color here in the center. The color is over all this pattern. So this means when I set the center color 1 is here pink, and the second color, for example, is blue. So you see, we have this color and this color. When I change now the centered size for this color, I can make it bigger, or I can make it sharper. This is the same procedure like there. You can set the sharpness, and you can set the radius of this. Now you have the ability to color the center, for example, and the outer size. Now we have the iris shadow color. This is the ring here. I have a circle shadow here, and you can define first the color, for example. You can make it black or whatever. And the brighter it is, the less the shadow have influence. So it's like in Photoshop, it's a multiplier. So it's a multiplier effect. So for example, when I set this to black, you see a small border here, and you can change the size. You can make it, oops, that's the wrong one here. The shadow radius can be set. So for example, here, again, you can put the shadow sharpness down, and you have a very smoothie shadow. It's bigger now, and so this is a result why the eye, or the reason why the iris is a bit darker. So I can set the sharpness up and change the radius, for example, of my shadow, make it bigger, for example, so you cannot see it anymore. But if you set the color, wrong one, if you set the color for example to white, so it will be multiplied less, and you see it not anymore too. So let's say we make it like this here, for example, and now you can change the color. That's very interesting because you can use different colors for it, like green or red, for example. Make it a bit brighter, the red. So you can make very nice effects, for example. Here the streaks can be seen because I have a very smoothie element here. So when I set the sharpness a bit, oops, the wrong one, iris sharpness, here it is. So I can see it a bit more or less of the streaks. So here we have it. So sharpness down and the radius a bit down. So you have the ability to make a lot of colors for your eyes here. Now we have the next one, splotches. So the splotches are here, these blue elements. So you can put them down. This is the opacity for the splotches, so you cannot see any splotches here. But if you put it up to the highest amount, you have different splotches here that can be seen. I change the color to white, for example, or blue in this case. So okay, so we can see it better. I set to blue, so you see here the splotches. So we have some settings for the splotches too. So we can set the opacity, as I said. You can set them a bit down, like this, for example, or more. Then you have the area size. So again, you can set the area for the splotches. You can make them smaller if you like. And it's the same like in the upper elements. You can set the area sharpness, so it's very sharp. And when I set them down, where are they? There. Here. Then you can change the border, so it's sharper. And now it's a bit smoother. Oops, wrong one. Okay. And the next one is the splotch size. You can change the size of the splotches. You can make them very small if you like. or big, very big if you want, for example. And if you make them, for example, big or small, whatever, let's say big, you can add the splotches density. So if you think this is okay, but you the size is okay, but you don't have enough density, so we can set the density more and you see more of your splotches, or less. They are gone then if you make them to 0. So density can be increased here. And then you can say if you like the density but you don't like the pattern of the splotches, so you can use the splotches variant. So if I move it, the variance of the splotches changes and you can see different splotches. So let's say we change the size a bit. So we have this here and we put the opacity down. Now we have a very interesting splotches here. I make it, for example, orange, and now it looks very interesting. So next, we come to the end soon. Here the white is the sclera color. The sclera is here, this white area, and here you can change the color whatever you want, green or yellow. I don't know what kind of eyes you are producing here, for example. So you can change the color here. The next one is the veins color. Here we have the veins, so I move them a bit here. Here are the veins. Okay, I make the rendering area a bit bigger, so here we have it. So what we can do here is the veins color. The veins color can be changed, for example, to blue or pink or whatever you want. Let's say here's this red, and then you can set the darkness so we can see them more. And here, the next is the veins position. So I can change the position, for example. I can move the veins to the front or back to the back, and so on. So if you are wondering why I can see the veins still here, because the reason is because the stress color, I have the stress area. I've called it stress, I don't know. The more stressy you are, the red are your eyes. So you made a stress area. And the more stress you have, the more veins can be seen. This is the reason. So I put the stress down. And now I can change the position again of my veins, as you see. And here is the same. You can change the sharpness. So you can see if they are very sharp, you can see very good the position of it. And if you make them a bit smoother, so we can make a nice blending here. And the bump strength is a bump. I have a bump on my veins here. I hope I can show it to you. Bump strength, a bit more. Here is it. I make the veins the same color like the sclera here. And you can see here is a bump of my veins. I make them a bit red. So now you can see the bump. If the bump is not enough for you, you can change it by just typing here 5. So you have a very big bump. I don't know why, but you can use it. So, okay, now 1 or 0.5, it's a very nice value, I think. So I can put it here. By the way, all this color information can be fitted by your own textures, your own things you want to do. Like you want, for example, a sclera with a noise texture, you can plug in a noise color into the sclera, whatever you want, and you will see it here. Okay, so come back to the front. Here is our veins. So now the last one is here, the stress color. Again, I can change the stress and make the eye very stressy. And if I don't see the veins, the reason is just easy. You have to make them darker, for example, black or whatever you want. You can make them white if you want to. It's on you. Okay. Yes, so we have it. Yeah. And so this is the last option, I think. Yeah, this is all. Okay, so you see, this is my eye shader here, my tree. I hope you like it. It's the first version. Of course, I have a lot of more ideas, but yeah, the time and will show if I do it or not. But this is the first eye I have released, and I hope you have a lot of possibilities to do whatever you want. As I said, you have a lot of possibilities. Again, I go back to the Earth eye here. It's a very nice human eye, so you can make a lot of interesting effects with this shader. So great. You can, as always, you can buy the shader in my Gumroad shop. It's not very expensive, and if you buy it, you support me and I can make more of this kind. So I hope I will have time and maybe make a new version or a better version with more options or whatever. But first, this is my first shader and I hope you like it. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you very much and visit me on my website. Have a nice day. Bye bye.